You know, we walk thousands of steps every single day. But have you ever stopped to really think about what's going on? It feels so automatic, right? But walking is one of the most complex, coordinated ballets our body performs. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and decode the science of your walk, your gait. So here's the game plan. We'll start by breaking down what a normal step looks like. Then we'll dive into what happens when those patterns change. After that, we'll see how professionals assess these changes. And finally, how all this knowledge helps us restore the body's natural rhythm.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, decoding the human walk. Before we can really get into all the interesting variations, we've got to understand the blueprint, what a healthy, efficient stride is all about. First things first, the official term for your walking pattern is gait. And here's the thing, it's not just about your legs. It's more like a complex symphony conducted by your nerves, played by your muscles, and expressed through your joints. Everything has to work together in perfect harmony.
So that brings up a really good question. What exactly is a single step? Well, from the very moment your heel hits the ground to the next time that same heel hits the ground again, you've just completed one full gait cycle.
Now, you'd think that cycle would be split 50-50, right? Half the time on the ground, half in the air. But it's not even close. About 60% of the time, your foot is in the stance phase, meaning it's on the ground holding you up. The other 40% is the swing phase, which is when your foot is up in the air, moving forward for the next step. Kind of surprising, huh?
Okay, so let's follow your foot on its journey during that stance phase. It all kicks off with the heel strike. Boom! Right after that, your foot flattens out in the loading response to take on your full body weight. As you glide forward, you hit mid-stance, that perfect moment of balance over that one foot. Then your heel lifts during terminal stance, and it all wraps up with the pre-swing, or as most of us call it, toe-off, where you push off the ground to launch yourself forward.
So what about that other 40% of the time? Well, your foot's in the air. This is the swing phase. It starts with the initial swing as your leg accelerates forward, then the mid-swing as it flies past your standing leg. It finishes up with the terminal swing, where your leg starts to slow down, getting ready for that next heel strike. And just like that, the whole cycle starts over again.
But you know, this perfect rhythm can get disrupted. And that brings us to our next section, when walking patterns change. Now, these aren't just limps. Think of them as unique patterns, almost like signatures, that can tell a really important story about what's going on inside the body.
Take a look at this first one, the hemiplegic gait. You often see this after a stroke has affected one side of the brain. Notice that characteristic flexed arm held tight against the body, and the affected leg has to swing out in a stiff, circular motion, that's called circumduction, just to clear the ground. And here we have a Parkinsonian gait. You can see the stooped posture, right? And those short, shuffling steps with very little arm swing. This is all coming from issues in a part of the brain called the basal ganglia, which is supposed to smooth out our movements. Sometimes you'll also see something called festination, where the steps get faster and faster, almost like the person is trying to catch up with themselves.
Next up is the Trendelenburg gait, and this one is all about the hips. See how when one leg is lifted, the pelvis on that same side just drops? That's a classic sign of weakness and a really important hip muscle, the gluteus medius, on the opposite leg, the one that's supposed to be holding the pelvis nice and level.
This one is an ataxic gait. The big giveaways here are that really wide stance and an unsteady, staggering walk. It looks totally unpredictable, and that's because it is. This pattern points directly to a problem with the cerebellum, which is basically the brain's coordination and balance control center. Now look at this one. It's called a steppage gait, and it's actually a really clever compensation for a condition called foot drop. That's when you can't lift the front part of your foot. So to keep from dragging their toes on the ground, the person has to lift their knee and hip way higher than normal, almost like they're climbing invisible stairs.
And finally, we have the antalgic gait. The name literally means anti-pain, and that's exactly what this is. It's the body's natural strategy to avoid pain. You can spot it immediately by the really short stance phase on the injured side. The person is trying to spend as little time as possible putting weight on whatever hurts.
Okay, so we've seen all these different patterns, but how do healthcare professionals systematically figure out what's what? Well, that leads us right to Section 3, the assessment process. And honestly, it's a lot like detective work. The whole process usually starts with simple, careful observation, but it gets way more detailed from there. Clinicians have this whole toolkit they use, testing everything from muscle strength and how far a joint can move to running specific neurological exams.
They even use standardized tests like the timed up and go, which measures something that sounds simple but is super important: how long it takes to stand up, walk a short distance, turn around, and sit back down.
And that leads us perfectly into our final section, restoring the rhythm. Because understanding gait isn't just about figuring out what's wrong, it's the absolute foundation for rehab and getting better.
This is really where the rubber meets the road. For patients in stroke rehab, or someone recovering from a big surgery like a knee replacement, or people living with conditions like a spinal cord injury or cerebral palsy, gait analysis is absolutely critical. It helps therapists design specific, targeted exercises to improve strength, balance, and coordination, all with the goal of helping people move better and, most importantly, more safely.
So how do they know if it's working? Well, they track key measurable data. It's not just a gut feeling. They'll measure things like cadence, that's your steps per minute, and they're usually shooting for that healthy 100 to 120 range. They'll also track velocity, which is just walking speed, and the base of support. Watching these numbers improve over time is concrete proof that the rhythm is coming back.
So when you put it all together, the big takeaway is pretty clear. Your walk is so much more than just a way to get from point A to point B. It's a dynamic, revealing, vital sign of your overall movement health.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're walking down the street, just for a second, pay attention to it. Think about the rhythm, the balance, the whole complex dance. If your walk could talk, what story would it tell about you?